We are excited to have you here and ride with us through the forest on ATVs. We have a lot of information to cover, so please be quiet and put your cell phones away so you can focus and not be distracted. Your safety is our top priority. Riding ATVs is an awesome and fun experience, but it is not without risk, just like driving a car. So making sure to follow your guide's instruction will keep you safe. If you do crash an ATV, which can potentially happen, most of the time from not following the rules, you are responsible for all repair costs. So let's get into the instruction. So the first thing we're going to cover is forest roads. So the roads we are driving on are public forestry roads, meaning anyone else can use them. So this means at any other time, a vehicle could be around the corner. So if you can't see what's around the corner, make sure that you slow down before turning into the turn. There could be an animal, a downed tree, another ATV rider, dirt bike rider, or a car coming. So our guide is leading the way and will attempt to slow down any other vehicle coming in your direction, but this is never a for sure thing, so always have your guard up while driving. Forestry roads are not maintained well, which means for a fun off-roading experience, but you do need to watch out for potholes, ruts, sharp objects, and sticks in the road. If you hit a pothole, it could potentially send your ATV off course, so you want to avoid them. Hitting sticks can send the stick flying back at the rider behind you, so avoid them as well. Lastly, rocks or sharp objects can cause you to get a flat tire. Our guides carry tire repair kits, but if the damage is beyond repair, the tour will possibly have to turn around. So next we're going to talk about correct riding posture and riding techniques. So when you're riding your ATV, you want to think of gravity. So when you're going to do an uphill climb on your ATV, you want to put your weight forward on the quad. You want to lean forward and scoot your butt up towards the front of the ATV. If you imagine leaning and putting your weight on the back of the ATV while going up a hill, you could potentially cause the ATV to flip backwards. When riding down hills on your ATV, you want to do the opposite. So when you're going down a hill, you want to scoot your butt backwards and put your weight towards the back of the ATV to keep you balanced. Lastly, we want to talk about side hills or turning. You want to lean into the turn rather than leaning out. Leaning out can cause your ATV to flip off to its side. Next, we're going to talk about visibility. Seeing in front of you is the most important thing for safe riding on your ATV. If you cannot see where to go, you could potentially crash. So roads can get really dusty in some areas. If you cannot see from dust, stay back. Don't be afraid of losing the group. Your visibility, again, is the most important thing. So your guide will stop before every turn they make on the trail to make sure the group is behind them. So you're not going to lose the guide. Stay on the main road that you are riding on unless your guide is up ahead waiting for you to make a turn. Don't judge where to go based on dust. If you see a dust trail turning off the road from the road you are currently on, don't judge where to go based on the dust. Sometimes dust shifts and makes it look like your guide has turned off the main road, but they really haven't. So if you are confused as to where to go, pull off safely to the side and wait, and your guide will come find you. Never guess where to go. We don't want to go on a goose chase to try and find you, so make sure you don't turn unless your guide does. Lastly, it is crucial that you keep a safe distance between you and the ATV in front of you. If the ATV in front of you crashes, do you have enough time to react? When we are going slow on the trail, you can be closer together, but when we are cruising at a good speed, keep a few car lengths between you and the ATV in front of you. So the last part of this training video is learning how to operate your ATV. Your guide will review this once more and answer questions at the end of the video after it has finished. So we're going to look at different parts of the ATV at different times. We have, right now, what we're looking at is the front view of your control bars. So there's the left handlebar, the center, and the right handlebar. So first we're looking at the center of the ATV. the center of the handlebars on your ATV. So in this picture, the key is currently turned in the off position. So to start your ATV, you will turn your key to the right to allow you to start the ATV. Turning the key does not start the ATV, but it will allow you to start it. So when you turn the key, the green light should light up that is above the N. This means the ATV is in neutral, which is the gear the ATV must be in order for the ATV to start. The R with the orange light is for reverse, which you won't be using during your tour. So on the left handlebar, you will find 4 buttons. The button we're looking at now is the little black button at the bottom of the handlebar. This is your electric start. So when you turn the key, you see the green light is on and that the ATV is in neutral. You push this black button in order to start the ATV. Above your start button is this red button, which is called the kill switch. If you go to start your ATV and for some reason it does not start, you want to make sure that this red button is aligned in the middle. If it's not and it's off to the side, it won't allow your ATV to start. Also, sometimes when people are riding, they accidentally hit the kill switch on their ATV. If your ATV completely dies on you, go ahead and look and see if you have hit this red button. Make sure it's in center before starting your ATV up again. These white and yellow buttons are your lights, so you don't have to worry about using those at all while on your ATV tour. Your ATV has 2 different brakes, the front and rear tire brakes. This left handlebar brake acts as your rear tire brake as well as the emergency brake. Anytime you stop to get off the ATV, you will need to engage the emergency brake. In this photo, the emergency brake is currently engaged. Before taking off, after starting your ATV, you will need to disengage the emergency brake. To disengage the emergency brake, you will simply pull the black lever towards you and it will release. Your guide will have you practice this prior to departing. So once you disengage the parking brake, it will look like this photo here. Now to engage the parking or emergency brake, you will pull the black lever towards you while simultaneously pushing the red lever away from you, as seen in this photo here. While you hold the red lever out, you will let go of the black lever, and this will lock in the parking brake. You can then let go of the red parking brake lever. Now we are going to move to the right handlebar of your ATV. There are only 2 functions on this handlebar, your gas and your front tire brakes. In the image here, where the yellow arrow is pointing, that is your front tire brake. And in this photo, this is your gas lever. You push the lever with your thumb to give the ATV gas. So you want your thumb to rest comfortably on the throttle, which is about midway from no gas to all the way down. Here is a photo of what that looks like. This is someone pushing the gas about midway from no throttle to full throttle. This is a photo of what you should not be doing. You do not want to have your thumb pressing the throttle all the way down to max capacity. If you are most likely in the wrong gear on your ATV, which we're going to talk a little bit more about in a minute. Just know for now that you want your thumb to be resting comfortably about halfway, pressing on the throttle. So we have at this point introduced you to the levers on the handlebars that act as brakes. And these are actually not the brakes we want you to be using while riding. It's important that you know what they are, but while you're riding, instead you will be using the right foot brake seen in this photo. It is a lever that is near your foot. When you are riding, you will rest your foot next to the foot brake peg like seen in this photo. And when you want to brake, you're going to move your foot in and step on the brake. That is seen here in this photo. This is an example of someone stepping on that foot peg brake. The reason we teach you to use your foot brake instead of the hand brakes is most of the time people can't remember which brake on which handlebar is for what tires. If you were driving and grabbed your front brakes hard, what would happen? Imagine the front tires would lock up and that could cause you to potentially flip forward. There is only one foot brake and this is your rear tire brakes, which is the proper brake you want to use when you're riding ATVs. So this is much easier for people to remember. So when you're riding, you're going to be using this foot brake as your brake. The last control you need to learn is shifting gears on your ATV. This is the hardest part for most people to learn, so don't worry if you feel confused. Your guide will review this with you and make sure you are comfortable before you depart. Your ATV has 5 gears. If you have rode a mountain bike before, remember what it is like to shift gears on a mountain bike. When you are in a lower gear, you pedal less and typically go much slower. When you are in a higher gear, you can go faster. This is the same thing on an ATV. In order to shift the ATV, you either step down or pull up on the lever that is next to your left foot, seen in this photo here. Stepping down on the lever, like in this photo, causes the ATV to shift down. Moving your foot under the peg and pulling up the lever causes the ATV to shift up. So when you start your ATV, you will be in neutral. Neutral is just below gear 1. So in order to take off, you will shift up into first gear by pulling up on the peg. And then you will give your ATV gas and it will start moving. So again, lower gears like 1 and 2 are for going slow and having control, whereas higher gears are for going faster. So once you start riding, your guide will be going slow at first so you can practice shifting and get the hang of it. After you are in first gear and moving along, you will want to let go of the throttle when shifting up, again into second gear, or down. If you don't, the quad will kind of jolt, which will remind you that you need to let go of the throttle when shifting. What we like to say is gears 1 and gears 2 are for going up and down hills. You want to be in a lower gear when going up or down a hill just like you would on a mountain bike. This gives you more power to go up a hill and keeps your ATV going slower when going down the hill. So again, gears 1 and gears 2 are for going up and down hills. Gear 3 is for cruising, which is where we like to spend most of our time. Gears 4 and 5 are safe for straightaways where you want to pick up speed. Lastly, there's a couple of scenarios you could potentially run into while riding your ATV. The first is if you were to hit a pothole. If you find that you are hitting a pothole, what you want to do is you want to hold your arms stiff and straight. When you hit a pothole, what tends to happen is it kicks your tire, which causes the handlebars to jerk to the side and can throw you off course. So you want to try to keep your handlebars straight and stiff if you were to hit a pothole. The second thing is if your ATV stalls on a hill. If you are in a higher gear and you go to attempt to go up a steep hill, your ATV could potentially stall, which means it just dies on you. If your ATV does stall on a hill, what you want to do is go ahead and grab both handlebar brakes, which this is one of 2 times you would use the handlebar brakes, because normally we use our foot brake while riding. But you would want to grab both handlebar brakes and just wait for your guide to come help you if you are nervous or scared. Lastly, most of the time when people have ATV wrecks, they know they are going to crash before the crash actually happens. If you're in a panic situation or you know you're going to crash, this is another time where you can use the handlebar brakes. You would want to grab both handlebar brakes. This will cause you to stop quicker than just using the foot brake, which is, again, the rear tire brakes. Grabbing both handlebar brakes locks up all 4 tires, which could potentially cause you to crash, but it will cause you to stop sooner. So use your judgment. Your guide is now going to use a quiz-like format to test you and make sure you know how to operate the ATV and use the controls. If you have any questions, now's a good time to ask them before hopping on the ATV.